Where have you been? Have you taken any good trips today? Today, on Speaking of Spirits, we talk about astral projection and out-of-body experience.
This is a good topic. I like this topic.
And
it's
have
not
very interesting stories about this topic.
Yeah.
You do.
I did?
Yes, you
Well,
did.
see, okay. So to our listening audience, we had a great podcast last week on this.
Spectacular.
It was spectacular. It was one of the best podcasts we've ever done. And guess who forgot to hit the record button?
I think it rhymes with him.
We had some technical issues last week.
So let's introduce ourselves again. I'm Colleen.
I'm the guy who rhymes with him. Tim.
Mark.
And I'm Katie.
Yeah, we're with Pocatello Paranormal, and we are going to talk about out-of-body experiences, astral projection. They're kind of interesting because they are different.
Yeah.
They are different, but although a lot of people use them kind of interchangeably, right?
Yeah.
Kind of hard to nail down what an out-of-body experience feels like, but according to accounts from people who've experienced them, they generally involve a feeling of floating outside your body, an altered perception of the world, like looking down from a height, and the feeling that you're looking down at yourself from above, and a sense that what is happening is very real. And I definitely have the flying aspect of it when I do this.
Yeah.
But it's not a conscious thing.
Because you do it while you sleep, right?
I'm doing it while I'm sleeping, yeah. But it's not a conscious thing. So for me, anyway, they say that out-of-body experiences typically happen without warning and they don't last very long. If you have a neurological condition like epilepsy, you may be likely to experience OBEs, is what they call them scientifically. And that they may happen more frequently. For many people, an OBE will happen very rarely, maybe only once in a lifetime. Some estimates suggest about 5% of people have experienced sensations associated with an OBE, although there are some suggestions that number is much higher.
Oh, yeah.
Because people aren't really talking about it.
And the medical field is kind of terming it other things like dissociation and epilepsy and different things. So I think part of it is the terminology too.
Well, they don't have a drug to give you for it yet.
Right.
As soon as they have one of those, it'll be on that paperwork.
We will have that. I think everybody's experienced some level of it at some point.
I think so. I think it's probably really common, actually.
Yeah.
Well, we decided that I did, and I wasn't this last week. So I really don't remember my dreams at all. It's great in a blue moon, but a lot. I just suddenly wake up. Like, it's not like you're falling off a cliff and you wake up before you hit. It's like I'm falling
back into your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
And that's what happens to me. I like, if I was to describe it, that's how it happens to me. Like I'm falling back into bed. It's the most bizarre feeling, and it's not those tremors that you get like when you're falling asleep in your body, like those little tremors that you get and it wakes you up. It's completely different because I can see myself and falling back down. It's I used to when I was younger, it happened like constantly, but now I'm thinking it's happening more than I realize, because I get that falling into bed feeling a lot.
Ooh, that's
pretty
so
cool.
Crazy.
And we were talking about like this tether. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, are you tethered? Are you tethered? And what would happen? So if an out-of-body experience is not something that's planned, it's just happening and you go, and do you have that tether? Like the dude's spelunking in the cave and he's tying the string so he doesn't get lost, and he's pulling himself back to the opening, to the attic, right?
Yeah.
But not astral projection, but out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
Assumably you're tethered to your body.
You would hope so.
And you're coming back like that rubber band snapping back to your body when it's done, when it's over.
And I remember we were talking about the illusions like in the Bible and in like ancient Egypt that talks about that silver
cord.
A silver cord.
Yeah, a lot of the books I've read on out-of-body experience do mention that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that you want to have that cord connected to you. That does a couple of things. It keeps you connected, and it also kind of claims it claims your body while you're gone.
Oh. So
The
something
cord
else
does?
doesn't inhabit it.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's crazy spooky.
So
Yeah, that
that's
is spooky.
Of course, that maybe reveals more than I should about the stuff I read, but
How to find an empty
but it
body.
will also kind of put a claim on your body. So yeah, nothing else will try to come in there while you're gone. So having that attachment on there is.
So the difference between the OBE and astral projection, and as astral projection, you are consciously leaving your body and going somewhere else. And we were talking last week during this really great episode that we recorded.
Oh man, you guys should have been there. It was great.
It was great. So they say it's an intentional effort to send your consciousness from your body, and it usually refers to your consciousness traveling out of your body towards a spiritual plane or dimension. But, so there's this thing that the Russians did, right? So the Russians had a series of people who were trained in astral projection. It was part of the Cold War.
This creeps me out.
Yeah,
so
well,
bad.
and they
I
were,
can't with this.
and we also developed a mirror program at the same time. Mm-hmm. And remember the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yes.
There was a comedy about this, but I'm struggling with the name of the course.
Of course you're gonna ask me when I'm like,
oh my God,
cousin.
what was the name of the course?
I can only
I can't remember
together.
the name, but I know what you're talking
Hold on,
about.
let me.
Yeah, she's
We
gonna.
were-
So
yeah.
Katie's
Men
gonna
Who Stare
Google
at
it.
Goats.
So
CIA.
So anyway, the United States and the Russians had kind of a mirror image of each other's course, and it was people who were trained to remote view. That was
There
it.
it is.
Remote view.
Templeton
Send your consciousness out to spy on people and places and things, and it was during the Cold War, so maybe even pre-Cold War,
Who knows?
to try to get each other's secrets, right?
So spooky.
The really interesting thing, my uncle was very skilled at remote viewing, incredibly skilled. He took the course.
Cool.
He also committed suicide.
That's what's
I think
spooky
because of
about
it. I think because of it. I thought it would be really cool, and he was telling me all about this course. And this is a man who, truck driver by trade, right? But also studied physics. He was off the charts smart, this guy. Well, he was. He and my mother were both in Mensa. So for really...
Very intelligent.
Yes,
very-
that gene didn't roll into me. So...
I hate when that happens.
I don't know what happened. They dropped me on my head. So, he did like a ton. He was pretty much an invalid for the last probably quarter of his life, and I took care of him for the last about a year and a half. But so he did a lot of courses he would send away to like MIT and all these other places and get these courses. But one of the courses that he really, in physics and all, and high mathematics and all this stuff, I mean, he was incredible. But remote viewing was the course. And he did it for years. And I didn't even know it was a thing back when and he was telling me about it. And I thought, it piqued my interest. I'm like, ooh, I want to do this. And he goes, well, I don't know that you really want to do this. Because it opens a door you can never close.
Oh my God, so sweet.
And he said the thing is, when you're remote viewing and when you get really, really good at it, is that you're looking through the eyes of the person that you're spying on.
That's what is insane.
That's what's weird to me. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at the paper they're reading. Mm-hmm. You're not reading over their shoulder.
Yeah.
So
that's what's spooky.
That's spooky.
Astral projection to me, if you're sleeping, you yourself are going just on your own, your spirit.
That's out of body experience.
Yeah, but the remote viewing is like...
Yeah, it's like a whole other level to astral projection almost, right? So
it's like you're bypassing the silver cord and going in their body anyway.
Well, it's like a controlled, focused astral projection. Where astral projection is just kind of... You leave kind of no direction.
Well, and you can put the intent out. You can go backwards in time and forwards. Yeah. You can do all these things with astral projection if you get really good at it. Yeah. But with remote viewing, it's the focused intent is really crazy. So they did a TV show about, and it might have been when he was alive. So he took his life in 2006. So I'm thinking it could have been even before he died. Mm-hmm. Because I think that might have triggered, wow, that's really interesting. And then we had this huge discussion. He gave me the course. I still have it. But because of his suicide, I never really picked it up. Mm-hmm. But I did look through his workbook to see how far, so here's the course. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you're learning it, how they did this, it's kind of tricky, but
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The guy who developed this course for remote viewing developed it for the CIA. He just took it public when he could. So he had to wait a long time, but he took it public. So you learn these techniques for really deep meditation. You're going into these really deep trance-like meditation. And then when you're meditating like me, I'm ping-ponging all around, and I have to come back to meditation. And then I'm ping-pong, and I have to come back. These people get in a trance state. I mean, they're just... gone.
Okay, so they've learned how to focus their brain.
Really, really focused.
That's amazing and then in itself.
What he does is, so this is prior Google Maps, Google Earth, where you can pinpoint to anything and it gives you the coordinates. But what he did was he would take pictures, and let's say he drew a turtle, and he put it on the wall of a building in Denver, Colorado at this address. And then he just focused his mind on it. And then he would tell, and when you're in this chapter of the course, you're supposed to fly. You're supposed to figure out where he was, because this was in the past, and what he was looking at, right? And then draw it. And so my uncle was doing all these. And then you send away for more and more of the course, right? So this is an ongoing several years of learning. And then you get the key, the answer key. So you're supposed to, have some credibility to it and sign it and date it, right? Which Jim did. He did all these things in his course book. So he gets the next series of books, and about 6 months later, he gets the key to what he thought he saw. Yeah. Well, it was all spot on. So he's there. So he's going to this place in time at this location, but he doesn't know the location. It's not given to you. So he's supposed to figure it out in this trance state. So they had this thing on TV where this guy's presenting remote viewing. Assumably the guy, I can't remember, but who made this course. And he has this group of people in Denver at the facility where he trains people. And they're like, say, 10 people in a room. And their whole mission is to find the person and key in on this person, but they don't know where, male or female, or what or he's doing,
this is
and where they are. Yes.
Okay.
And what he's told the person who's the other part of this is she's on a motorcycle and she's in Los Angeles, and she's supposed to go to I don't know, let's say 6 locations, and stay there for 30 minutes and stare at something, and really concentrate on what she's seeing, and then get on her motorcycle and leave and go somewhere else and find something and look at it, right? So these people in Denver have no idea about her and what she's doing, and they're supposed to just focus in on his intentions, which is the biker, the gal on the bike, motorcycle. So, and then they're supposed to come out of their trance and draw everything that they saw. So they're seeing it through her eyes. they draw. So and most of them hit every target. She like looked at a water fountain, and she saw all these things. So if it was above board, which, you know, who knows with TV, but if it's above board, almost every person got every location.
That's so insane.
Almost every person. I mean, they were in super trance-like state, and then they're supposed to come out. They don't talk to each other because they're on like, you know, yoga mats, and they're just out. And they look asleep, right? And so then they get out, and they're starting to draw this stuff. And it's kind of amazing. So that's what remote viewing is. So it's kind of like a more intense astral projection.
But it's also the way that the government used it. It's like surveillance.
Yes.
Because it's not like you consent to someone just bonking their way into your brain.
And do you? But could you? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying is it's like
the gal on the motorcycle obviously knew that these people were doing this.
And she consented to it.
She consented to it. But if we have people who can do this, the person that they're viewing is not consenting.
Yeah.
Do they even know they're being
part of it? Do you get a weird skeevy feeling?
Do you get like that? God, that I feel weird today, or something's off, or
So we've all felt that way.
We have.
We have. Yeah.
But who also would want to spy on my life? There's no.
I know. I'm like super bored.
Like, meh.
So.
Well, along those, depending on how far again down the rabbit hole you would like to go on this.
All the way.
I've heard there is a team that constantly protects the White House psychically.
Oh, I
they
so
block
believe
it
that.
so that no psychic abilities, remote viewing anything, can come in.
That would be somewhat believable. If we have people out there who could do remote viewing, then we have to have people out there that can block it.
That are
protecting away. Because did the U.S. know that Russia was also...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you would
think
they'd have to do protective measures too.
It was kind of weird, though, because they could be incredibly accurate and at the same time completely worthless.
Yeah, that's hard. But I feel like when you watch like spying stuff, it's kind of the same. You have all these tips or you have all these leads, and somebody still has to filter through and kind of pick on. I mean, that happened with the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of the same thing. I would feel like.
Well, it is, and a lot of these remote viewing things that they had, they would come back with great information. Like, okay, there's this huge warehouse, and you know, I see this crate, and would read a number off of the crate, and I see this forklift, and could identify the forklift. But it's like, okay, what do you
do with that?
Yeah. Where is this?
Where is it? And they don't know where it is.
What's in the crate? You know?
Well, the other things is something that kind of blows my mind with all of this. I personally think time is a construct, and I have different dimensional beliefs and stuff.
Okay.
So with this, and having time not matter, and especially something like that, what if it was the wrong time where they were looking?
How do you know your time?
You could be going backwards or forwards in time.
Yeah, you could be seeing something from World War II, which would have been good to know back then.
Sure would have.
Yeah. So the out-of-body experiences are pretty interesting because that's not necessarily intentional. That's not astral projection, right?
Yeah.
There's some debate over whether the sensations and perceptions associated with the OBEs happen physically or some sort of hallucinatory experience. Okay. A 2014 study tried to explore this by looking into cognitive awareness in 101 people who survived cardiac arrest. The authors found that 13% of the participants felt a separation from their body during resuscitation. Only 7% reported an awareness of the events that they wouldn't have from their actual perspective.
Oh, creepy.
So laying on the bed.
Right.
In addition, 2 participants reported having both visual and auditory experiences while in cardiac arrest. Only one was well enough to follow up with, but he gave an accurate, detailed description of what took place for about 3 minutes of his resuscitation from cardiac arrest. Still, there's no scientific experience to support the idea that a person's consciousness can actually travel outside the body. Of course, it's from a scientific viewpoint.
Right.
They never believe anything. The study discussed above did try to test this by placing images on shelves that can only be seen from like a higher vantage point in the cardiac room.
Can you get your consent if you die? Could you check?
Can you check on that shelf and see what's up there? Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. And my neighbor, a friend of mine, he has seizures. But they're a particular type of seizure that his brain waves never change because they monitor him when he goes in seizure. He can still see, he can still hear, he's just frozen. He can't stop.
They're like the small seizures.
That would be terrifying for me.
Seizures.
Yeah, he's like, he loses complete control. He just locks himself up and he'll slide right off the chair, fall over. But he can still hear and see everything. So it's like, it's weird. It's like I asked him last week, I said, do you remember telling me I was going to have $1,000? And he's like, no, I didn't say that. I'm like, come on, man. But there's a lot of different medical conditions that can cause somebody to have some of these weird experiences, but none of them boil down to what an out-of-body experience really is. Yeah. And, just because the scientific community can't wrap their head around it doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
There have been reports of people coming back and repeating the message that was on top of the shelf.
Yeah.
And telling the doctor.
Hey.
And not only that, but also telling the doctor and naming nurses and doctors that were in the room.
That's pretty crazy.
And saying, wild. This nurse did this doctor was doing this.
Yeah.
And then repeating the message that was on top of the shelf. Because one of the, I guess at least one doctor got tired of hearing these stories and thought that people were just hallucinating. So he actually put some type of message or something. And there was a cabinet, fairly tall cabinet. Mm-hmm. So he put a message on top of this cabinet.
Sneaky.
And somebody came back and actually repeated that message. And I guess it really freaked out the doctor because he put this up there because he wants to pull, prove these people are just hallucinating.
Yeah.
And people came back and started
telling him,
hey, I saw your message,
Yeah. And I believe that. And
I turned around at the light.
Yeah.
Seriously. I took a class in college that was the sociology of illness. And it kind of reminds me of what you were saying, Colleen, about how we have this medical terminology. Like we have like aura seizures and aura migraines and these terms for these experiences. And when I took this class, the whole class was kind of around this question of what really is illness and is it illnesses change based on our sociological perspective. So for me, it's like this astral projection and this out-of-body experience right now. We use these medical terms because that's how our society is geared, but I think it's all the same thing. Like, I think people are experiencing out-of-body experiences, but the way that our society is geared, we're using these medical terms to explain it. But I think a lot of it is like the same thing. And we stigmatized it, like dissociation.
Well, that's what just the dissociative disorders, particularly depersonalization, derealization disorder, can involve frequent feelings or episodes where you may be observing yourself from out of the body.
Yeah.
So they've coined terms or diagnosis because they can't understand what's really happening.
And that's the thing is when you look at those disorders and you look for symptoms and how it's treated and how it's diagnosed, there's nothing to scientifically base it. It's like, oh, it's diagnosed based on experience. Well, there's your freaking answer. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, how many, and we've talked about this, how many people who are mediums are told they have a psychosis because they're
all the time.
They're seeing things.
Same. Oh, I've had so many doctors that are like, oh, it's epilepsy. Oh, it's depersonalization. And it's like, would you like me to tell you about your dead grandma? Because I can right now. She's saying hey. Like, what do you want from me?
Grams is saying hey, dude.
Grams is saying hey as a side note, and also your diagnosis is totally wrong. Bye.
Well, that whole illness word, it adds something to people. Like, illness is associated with flaw.
Yeah, a lack of health.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's wellness is associated with whatever you want to say.
Perfection, purity, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And so those stigmas are horrible.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going through my own health adventure as of late, and it's amazing how mad I've been getting at doctors.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I was just going to say that sounds familiar to
like
poor Colleen over there.
So mine is type 2 diabetes. That's what I've been fighting with for the past few months. And basically I went to the doctor because I felt like crap. And they did blood work and said, oh, you have a very big problem. And
By the way.
so basically they said, look at the diabetes website, figure it out, kid, have a nice day. And like, okay. And that's because I refused to take insulin. And because I felt like I had it in me to fight. And so I went to the diabetes website, and it basically said it's a progressive disease and you're going to die. This is how you can live a little better. Which that's an extreme summation, but really that's what it said.
Right.
And that pissed me off even more.
Right.
And so I did bunches and bunches of my own research and found out about type 2 diabetes, what it is, and basically it's carb poisoning and it's correctable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, like, that's not there. And so they associate the illness and they give it a scary term and then they give you pharmaceuticals.
Right.
And it seems like if that's not able to be put somewhere like that, a diagnosis or whatever,
Right.
they don't even look at it. And I think that this is a great marker for that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Research suggests that many people who have out-of-body experiences with near-death experience, so that's like two different things, right? They also experience sleep paralysis. And that's going to be yet another
so
podcast topic, because
spooky.
I'm telling you, I've experienced only one episode,
It's
and it was
terrifying at
absolutely, I still to this day can't tell you if it really happened. Like,
Yeah.
was it real?
first. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it was the most bananas experience. Well, I've had quite a few bananas experiences, but this one truly left lasting imprint on me. So,
Don't they
I
call
believe
that
that.
something in the paranormal world?
hypnagogia.
Hypnagogia.
Yeah.
Matt experienced that once, and he's not a spiritual dude. Like, he's scared of ghosts. Like, he will, if he hears a place is haunted, he's going somewhere else. He's that dude. But he experienced it like 10 years ago, and to this day, it leaves lasting
It does.
impressions. He's terrified.
And some
of that
people
experience.
have repeat. I mean, it happens to them a lot.
It's
So, like I said,
terrible.
the event that happened with me, I don't know if it really happened. I mean, I don't know. And
That's kinda
I'll tell you
spooky,
guys
though.
about it when we start discussing this
Ooh,
topic.
me too.
Because I'm still, did it really happen? Or was this all sleep paralysis? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it happened, but I don't know.
Crazy. That's the part.
Because
kind of
I could
extra
see,
scary.
I could hear, everything was going on, and I'm like, okay. Anywho,
Spooky.
in 2012, research suggests that sleep-wake disturbances may contribute to dissociative symptoms, which can include a feeling of leaving your body. So all of this research is telling us this isn't really happening. It's
such
not
BS.
really happening. What is remarkable about, like, with me, because I'm always flying, and I'm flying over stuff, and I'm seeing things happening.
Yeah.
And if I wish that I need to sleep with like a tape recorder next to my bed.
Yes.
So they can turn it on right away. Because when I come falling back into bed, because it does, I crash into bed and I feel it. I absolutely, like you, Tim, you feel crashing into bed. Or like falling it back into your body. If I could record what I just saw. Because I'm always flying above and watching events. Oh, it would be so amazing if I could do that. And then it really happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's not like I'm crazy. So,
We're all crazy.
well, some people report having an out-of-body experience while under the influence of anesthesia. Other substances, including marijuana, ketamine, hallucinogenic drugs such as LSD, can also be a factor. I'm not under those influences, so I don't know. I mean,
honestly, though, to me, I feel like those drugs or whatever you want to... I feel like those only assist people with that because it finally
releases the ability.
And also it's like alcohol, right? Your walls are down, you're not afraid of any stigma, you're like, what the hell? And I think that's what drugs do.
Yeah.
I don't think drugs help with that. I think they just relax your brain enough to allow you.
So it removes
To
the
do that.
blocks.
Yeah, it removes
More
the
than it helps it.
blocks.
It removes the blocks, keeping
Yeah.
you from doing it.
Yeah, I don't
I've
think
always
it
been
induces
so
it.
afraid, and it's probably because my parents were cops, right? Driving it into me about how bad drugs are.
You're like
I've always been
traumatized.
afraid to like do LSD, and all my friends have done that. And they were like, "This is the best thing ever," because I'm afraid I won't come back. I'm always afraid of not coming back.
Got that silver cord, girl.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like my brain goes, and then it's out there, and I'm catching gnats for the rest of my life.
But then again, that could be maybe you're picking up on something too.
What do you mean?
Telling you don't
Not
do
do
this.
it?
Oh, that could be.
Oh, yeah.
You totally have to listen.
You
to
know,
your
your subconscious or something could be telling you this is something you don't mess
Don't mess
around
with because you're not coming
Yeah,
back.
you may not come back. Yeah.
girl.
So if you find me in the corner one day catching dust bunnies, you know?
I wonder what Colleen did.
Yeah.
Did not listen to her intuition
Well,
on that one.
okay, my
happens.
dad was he was only in hospice for actually like 96 hours. Because he was fine until the last couple of days. Like, actually, 24 hours before he died. The hospice nurse came out and they gave me, like, super-duper drugs for him. Because he had no pain.
Yeah.
He had no pain until, like, that last 24 hours.
Yeah.
I could tell he was all of a sudden in pain because he was, like, Mr. Indestructible. No pain ever. Broke his back, no pain. I mean, you name it, he's done it, no pain. Never had.
Well, I can see your dad doing that too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but they left all those drugs. Bottles and bottles and bottles of all this liquid, like morphine and all this stuff, like people. And first thing I told the nurse when the hospice nurse got there when he died was, get this shit out of my house. I don't want to hear. I'm not an addictive person except for maybe whiskey, and maybe beer. Probably beer and whiskey. But I don't want to. I don't want to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It scares me, and I know that people laugh at that, but it scares me.
It's
so I
true,
can see, you know, the medical community has to have a name for everything, and they have to to tell you. Of course, you know, they say like out of body experiences could intentionally or accidentally be triggered by hypnosis. I'm super hypnotive.
Oh, me too.
You can
Okay.
tell me, Colleen, you're going under hypnosis and do that, and I'm out. Like that fast.
Okay.
I mean, it's bananas. It's crazy fast how I'm the
But I feel
cracking
like
goose.
it's because you're intuitive. Your body's already like, I know what this is, and here we go.
Maybe I don't know.
Not,
or
you're not resistive to it.
Not at all.
Because you know.
That's why I don't cleanse homes.
Yeah.
I'll do
I
the
get
paranormal
that.
research because I know how to protect myself.
Yeah.
But I will not cleanse a house. I won't do it. I have people I call.
Makes it special.
I can't do it because I'm really open during cleansing. But during an
Yeah,
investigation,
same.
I'm very guarded. The walls are up. Nothing's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
But during a cleansing, you kind of have to open yourself up a little bit to be able to push it out. I can't.
You totally.
I
do.
bring everybody home with me.
Yeah, it's kind of
can't do
scary
that.
because it's like, what if I can't shut it off after I am?
Exactly.
You're bringing home the jujus.
Again, that might be your own intuition telling you something. You know, if you've got an addictive towards alcohol, it might be saying, yeah, but don't go anything harder.
Well, I don't know, like, because
Because
so the VA,
Yeah.
because I'm been in the VA system for years. They used, and no lie to the audience out there, you will be shocked at this. They used to send me 10, the hydrocodones, right? They go from like 5, 7s, and 10s. Hydrocodone 10s, 90 pills a month
Whoa.
Holy.
for 10 years. They were in my safe.
Wow.
I didn't use them. I use them like I'm the weekend warrior. I go out and I do fencing for 8 hours and I can't move the next day.
Yeah.
Like today's one of those days. I didn't use the codeine because I actually put it all in like my cat litter because I wanted to get rid of it. And then a whole bunch of it I took it to the narcotic turn-in because I didn't want that crap in my house.
Yeah.
I have like 4 pills that I leave in my safe in case I need them for the next time I can't freaking walk the next day. Honestly, that's how bad the VA system was for years.
Oh, yeah. I can
90
believe that.
pills
Insane.
a month. That's 3.
And then they had all these people that
Yeah, and they
were
wonder
dependent
why
on
everybody's
opioids.
ODing on this shit. Well, I'm the person who won't take it.
That's
But they kept
crazy.
sending it to me, even when I would call them and say, I don't use it. I
They're
used
like,
it
just
after
in case.
I had 4 back surgeries. I used it for a couple of weeks after each back surgery, but then I'm off. Quit sending me this stuff. Every month like clockwork. In the mail.
It's crazy. They
Well,
send
maybe
that. They
that's their
don't
plan,
send
is
that
just
to
keep
them.
everybody insulated.
Maybe.
So
And I
they
was going to
can't-
say, it's just a testament to how powerful the brain is. Because it's like, if you have these drugs that can release all of this, you know, like give you the power to like astral project and do whatever.
Right.
It's like, kind of scary. It's like, who's in control? It's certainly not me. My brain's just off.
Yeah, and I don't like the losing of control. Alcohol makes me happy, but I don't drink every day. I drink a lot, but I don't drink every day. When I drink a lot. No, you know what I'm saying? I joke about it, but I can go 3 months without a drop of liquor. Yeah. But then we have a big barbecue, and I'm the one who's on the whiskey.
Party time.
Just because I enjoy it, and it's a social thing. But
yeah.
Or if I'm mowing the lawn after I get done and I have a beer, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to me. I don't have that addictive personality. My ex was an addict. I will not live with that in my life. Totally so I can understand, but I understand people wanting to use some of these drugs to escape. And I think that if you used LSD, like we talked about, there's no recorded overdose on an LSD. But cannabis. Can your brain leave and not come back?
It's a great question. So I've been studying lots of things in that realm. And one of the things that I find fascinating is ayahuasca.
Oh, Lord, yes.
And that was very popular in the southern countries. And
you said it's made out of something gross?
Well, it's a plant, and like grandma chews on it for some hours, and they spit it in a cup.
Yeah, see that spit thing.
It's kind of ritual.
The processing is
yeah, it's something, and
loose standards.
And when you take it, you feel like you're going to die. You get really, really sick, and you're throwing up and bad things. But after that, the hallucinogenic properties kick in. And a lot of people describe it as an out-of-body experience. And almost all of them have some sort of similar story. Usually it involves a leopard. Ooh. And the leopard is their spirit guide. And like
a coming to Jesus moment, but with a leopard.
Well, honestly, most of the people say that they feel like they found the answer that they were looking for. And some of them, like... whatever the creation of the universe kind of big answer. And then when they come back, they can't quite remember it. But
see, now that would suck. Yeah. What's the point? What's the point?
But all of them said that they found comfort in the answer.
Yeah, but for me, it would be like getting this brand new jigsaw with the key puzzle piece missing. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's cruel.
That is cruel. That is cruel.
But they kind of have out-of-bodies experiences, bright, vivid colors.
Interesting.
Jaguars.
So there was a movie years and years ago, dating myself again, Jacob's Ladder. Do you remember that? And it was all about an LSD trip, wasn't it? Wasn't it? I think.
I remember the movie,
I was
but I don't
super
think I
confused through the whole movie, probably because I was the only one who didn't drop acid when they went into the movie.
I was only
but I just remember going, what the hell is going on here? I couldn't figure it out. I think the whole movie is supposed to be about an LSD trip, but I'm not quite sure.
The one movie I do know about that is The Wall by Pink Floyd. You can't see that if you're sober.
Oh,
you've got to be somehow insulated to get that movie.
Fantasia, I think they were completely dropping acid when they made that movie.
They were really feeling the music.
Yeah,
Disney got people on drugs early on.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree.
So I got my wisdom teeth pulled, and I got lots of drugs for said wisdom teeth. And my mom bought a yellow submarine.
Oh no!
Let me tell you, it's quite the movie.
We're on a different planet, right?
That's funny. Existing research hasn't connected spontaneous out-of-body experiences to serious health risks. In some cases, you may feel a bit dizzy or disoriented after. However, out-of-body experiences and disassociation in general cause a lingering feelings of emotional distress. I don't agree with that. I don't have any distress.
It doesn't have to be negative. Yeah. It's how you perceive it.
Exactly.
Just saying.
You might feel confused over what happened or wonder if you have a brain issue or a mental health condition. You might also not like the sensation of an out-of-body experience and worry about it happening again. I
can see that if you don't.
If you were awake, then yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I don't believe I've ever had one awake. Mm-hmm. I go to sleep, poof, I'm gone, kind of thing.
Horrible. But I can see, too, societal, if you're in a very religious society or very superstitious, if something like that happens, that would cause you anxiety and fear, I think.
That'd be
even
a big
if you were asleep and you thought you were dreaming.
Right.
I can see.
I think that's like any part of the paranormal. If something happens, the event just happens. It's how you process it after that a lot of the issues come up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be how you process it. And if you're not prepared for it and it just happens, then yes, that can be unsettling and disturbing and scary and trying to figure out what happens.
So Katie and I met somebody a couple of weeks ago who she does astral projection every single day.
Cool.
And
Casual. She just
casual.
does her
She's
thing.
like, yeah, I just do it. And her husband did, and he was actually studied by the University of Davis.
And he did remote viewing too.
And he did remote viewing. Yes.
Crazy.
And he was like her tether to come back. And now that he's died, I said, you need to be careful because she leaves.
That is spooky.
She like sits down in the chair and she decides she's going, she's gone.
Ooh.
And I think it seemed like there was a little bit of a struggle sometimes to come back.
That is so scary.
Isn't
to
it?
me. Bizarre.
What?
Well, that could be all kinds of things, though, too.
Somebody
that
else
could be-
inhabiting?
No, it could be if her husband's gone, she might not want to come back.
Oh.
You see that a lot. And I don't know this
think that's
particular
bad.
couple
That's-
that you
Or
know.
maybe her husband's still there, and that's when she can feel
that.
him.
Oh, that could be too.
Oh, yeah.
Get it.
Maybe not so much doesn't want to come back, but maybe wants to stay with her husband.
Oh. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
So, I mean, there could be a lot of other
Yeah.
angles coming into this.
That's true. Surveys suggest about between 8 and 20% of the people claim to have had something like an out-of-body experience at some point in their lives. A sensation of the consciousness spirit or astral body leaving the physical body. While most experiences occur during sleep or under hypnosis, some people claim to do it by merely relaxing. And that was definitely her. She sits in her favorite chair and she's gone. She's gone.
That's so
Well,
wild.
it's probably like everything else in the world. The more you practice it, the better you get at it.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you practice it to a certain point, you can just,
Slip in and out.
anytime you want. You can go.
The idea that humans can leave their bodies during dream states is ancient. Countless people from New Agers to shamans around the world believe that it's possible to commune with a cosmic intelligence through visions and vivid dreams experienced during astral projection, also known as out-of-body experiences. But I think they're different.
Yeah.
I think the
agree.
out-of-body
That's how I
experience is
see it.
a little unplanned, but the astral projection you're planning
It's
it.
intentional. I agree.
Seems intentional to me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. However, it's the most recent resurgence has its roots in the spiritual boom of the 19th and early 20th century.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of my favorite movie, if you want to try to define the two. I love Chris Farley.
Oh my
And
God.
Beverly Hills Ninja is just
I need to watch
fantastic.
this.
You
And-
talk about the power of belief.
And anyway,
I can't with you people.
so in this movie, he needs to talk with his sensei. And so they astral project so they can have this meeting. And like, I'm sure that I would astral project just like Chris Farley in this movie. Floating upside down, trying to figure out how to kneel down on a cloud thingy and just going past your sensei.
Can you imagine all these other people up there floating around like, who the hell is this dude?
It's upside down on cloud.
Okay, well, Tim's the new guy.
He's new, clearly.
So, I don't know. Practitioners of astral travel insist that the experience must be real because it seems so vivid. And because some of their experiences are similar, even for people from different cultures.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising that many people who try astral projection have similar experiences. After all, that's the term guided imagery. That's
Yeah.
what it means.
That's very fair.
But I don't... and I can do guided meditation. It's really hard for me to meditate without a guided meditation session.
Yeah.
But people who do astral projection are not using guided meditation forms.
That's
most
the difference.
that I've
Yeah.
read about.
Yeah.
They've perfected it down where they're just
Oh,
sitting
so
down and they just
crazy.
decide, I'm going to fly to Ireland today, and then they're gone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy too. I just recently have been getting into meditation, and I finally got into a meditative state for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it's weird.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's super
Like
cool.
you feel like you can control things, and like in my body anyway. breathing, heart rate, that kind of thing. And it was just a super focused you.
That's super cool.
It's cool, but that kind of made me scared too.
Like, don't get too crazy. Don't get too confident. I wish they would do when we did the near-death podcast and we were talking about the study where they measure the bodies. It's kind of weird.
The weight.
The weight of the bodies. And then
and
that
see
0.7. Yeah, it's like, I understand we couldn't maybe do that without a body because it's like, we don't know if you're going to die on the table today in the hospital. But people that astral project, wouldn't that be interesting? To measure their body
weight and see if there's a weight
once
when they leave.
Roll out to see if it's an actual spiritual thing.
Because they've measured the soul leaving. Well, they believe it's the soul. They've measured several, like thousands of people as when they die. They lose. I don't know.
I think 0.7 after all of the gases and all of the fluids leave the body.
Yeah, and it's like for everybody they measure. So they think it's the soul, like the weight of the soul leaving the body. I mean, they don't know what else it could be.
And a lot of ancient texts on astral projection talk about how it's not your consciousness, it's actually your spirit that is connected to the different levels of the universe. And you can consciously choose to like roll out and go to these different levels. So I think it'd be cool. Somebody needs to study that.
Yeah, it's interesting. The literature on the cause of out-of-body experiences mainly entails various neurological conditions like epileptic seizures, migraine, deficient visual, vestibular, and multisensory processing, psychedelic drugs. I don't know. There are other possible causes of out-of-body experiences in astral projection. In 2017, a study reported on by The Atlantic analyzed some 210 patients who suffered with vestibular disorders. The vestibular system within the inner ear is responsible for providing the body with a sense of balance, right? So, and sometimes people have a sense of floating with vestibular disorders.
Right, because your balance in your inner ear is off.
Yeah.
It's understandable. But I feel like that would be a constant feeling, wouldn't it, if your inner ear was off?
Yeah, so I grew up flying small aircraft with my dad, and we flew like everything. And there was a period of about 3 years I couldn't fly at all because I developed an inner ear issue, but they couldn't really pinpoint what it was. And boy, did I get airsick. My dad's like, you never get airsick. What is wrong with you? He was actually getting mad at me. Like, and I'm like, Dad, I'm sorry. Because I never got airsick. Like, turbulence didn't matter if we went into it. It just didn't matter. I never got airsick. I was like, woohoo! But there was like 3 years I couldn't. And now, since then, I develop sometimes the crystals get dislodged, and then I'm dizzy like all the time, and I have to fix them.
But you can feel the difference, right? Like, you kind of know when that sensation is happening versus I'm rolling out and flying somewhere.
Exactly.
Right?
Because, I think like the out-of-body experience, your mental faculties are there. I'm viewing something. Isn't that cool? I'm over the top of this event.
And you don't feel discombobulated, right? Like you would with an
I actually know, which is weird, because I'm actually conscious that I am asleep somewhere else.
That is such a bizarre thought.
Isn't it cool that I can view this from above, like an eagle's eye view of what's going on, and I'm aware that I'm flying, and I'm aware that I'm asleep. I'm aware of all of this at the same time.
You're like physically,
but and then once the flying part is over, and just wham, I'm back into bed. Then it's instant.
It's crazy.
And it's like there's no like let's go float back down gracefully into bed. I feel like no.
You may want to work on the landing.
My landings really suck.
Flaps
up. Yeah. So there's people who can consciously fly through walls.
That is so wild.
If you think about it, like and what if we could train people? So that's what they suggest. What if we could train people to fly through walls during like an earthquake to see if there's somebody trapped under the rubble?
Yeah. Like the natural disasters or like fires
And then, like you brought up PTSD from that. What if they were flying through like a rubbled building and they see nothing but twisted body parts. I mean, you would have to deal with that mentally.
Yeah, and it's kind of what your uncle, right? Kind of.
Yeah,
he was saying
he wouldn't really so much tell me what he saw, other than he said during the remote viewing, he said it became because he was pretty much an invalid for the last quite a number of years of his life. So he just would do this, and it was his way of escaping, like being tethered to an oxygen machine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so he would just gone, and he said though that once you start that, he couldn't stop it, and he would see things he couldn't unsee, and that's what bothered him.
Well, I would think it depend on how much control you had over it. But if you kind of like the balance of life, if you do see something you don't want to see and can't unsee, balance that out by going to see something wonderful.
Yeah. But that's a good perspective, but I don't know.
It's like a bad car wreck. It's like once you look, you can't stop looking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great perspective, Mark, but I'm not sure he could do that or did do that.
Well, it comes back to a couple of ifs. How much if you can control it?
Yeah. Did he have
How
control?
much control do you have?
Not to mention, it's not like I guarantee this remote viewing course was not like we're training you to go roll in a field with bunnies. It was like we're training you to go see some sketchy ass shit to help us. Like it's probably not good things that he unintentionally was trained to focus on.
Bunnies could be there though.
Like Monty Python, the evil bunny that like comes out of the cave.
The killer bunny, yeah.
Fair, it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. There are all these questions that I wish I could talk to him now. He's not a person who will come back.
I was just going to ask you if you ever been able to.
He was really, really angry.
He may have seen a killer bunny. Maybe that's what.
Yeah. No, like I said, he committed suicide, and I think that there was just a lot of, stuff. I do think the remote viewing probably contributed. I'm sure
it did.
Because he was pretty disturbed about some of the stuff that he saw.
That's terrible.
But he wouldn't tell me. I mean, this is a guy who went through World War II. He was in Normandy.
For him to be like,
wow.
it's severe.
That's
World
War II. Yeah. He was in Normandy. He was on the beaches in Normandy.
I can't even imagine.
He saw some shit.
Yeah.
And then the remote viewing freaked him out. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, okay.
That's the scale.
Is it just bringing back memories? Did he go back?
Oh, God.
Was he having flashbacks? I mean, that's a possibility.
Because you said go back and forth.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
He may have gone back to Normandy and saw things he didn't see the first time.
Well, yeah, because you're experiencing it yourself the first time. The second time, you're going and you're viewing from other people's point of view. So maybe that really triggered a whole bunch of stuff that he repressed, and he finally was like, that's it, I'm out.
Yeah, that's something like that could easily mess somebody up for sure.
Because I found he never talked about it. Like my dad, we've talked about. He never talked about the war.
Mm-hmm. Most people in World War II didn't. My dad didn't talk about it.
No, and my dad didn't really talk about the Korean War. I mean, he joined World War II, but was very active in the Korean War. But most guys, they just didn't talk about it. It was postcards that I finally ran into through all of his stuff. Like, oh my God, he was there. And then my dad confirmed it after. He goes, oh yeah, Jim was in Normandy. I'm like, oh Lord. Because I really didn't understood what he had gone through.
Yeah.
But did he go back?
I've got a Japanese sword that to this day I don't know the story behind.
Oh, yeah.
My dad would never talk about it.
Yeah. It's like sometimes ignorance is bliss with certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of that generation had that very saying go through their minds a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally believe that.
So, a couple weeks ago, I didn't have any interest in astral projection at all. Like none. And then last week, we had that marvelous podcast that everybody should have been here for. It was fantastic.
You were projecting when you hit the record button.
Yeah, right, exactly. That was the problem. And it's amazing when you think about just about any of the podcasts we have. You could probably weave astral projection into it.
I was thinking that, like, even just,
Mm-hmm. So one of the ones that I really thought of was reincarnation. It was one of our more recent podcasts. But what if those kids are astral projecting they're in the guy's eyes.
Yeah.
They don't know any different.
Yeah. Or
But
maybe
they pick up the information.
Those kids that they studied,
Yeah.
they had all that information on those guys.
Yeah.
maybe
Could be.
people
I mean,
that-
I would think. Well, I guess. I mean, okay. Are you born with the ability to do this? Because maybe some kids do this.
Oh, I
Oh,
totally
and well, think about it, right?
think that.
Dissociative. A lot of these kids
Oh,
are getting diagnosed with all this stuff.
Yeah, I had when I was a kid, all the time. All the time. And I still remember it. I totally think that. And I think that, like, with kids, I think, too, maybe the more you've been reincarnated as a person, because I think you can be reincarnated as other things, I think maybe you have a higher aptitude of being able to astral project.
Oh.
You know? It's just easier for you because you're connected to more timelines, more people, more dimensions.
And it's amazing how many times that I've been on an investigation, and I feel like it's not dead. Whatever's happening, and I'm just a feeling guy.
Spooky.
That's
So
cool.
maybe
You mean
somebody...
you're feeling that the person that we're investigating, or the spirit that we're working with, isn't dead?
Yeah.
They're like astral...
Holy crap!
Oh my god, you guys!
And that's like so multidimensional because.
It's like
So
a string
okay,
theory.
there was a.
Oh my God.
This was interesting because Ghost Hunters, right? The original
Yeah.
show, Ghost
Yeah.
Hunters.
Spooky.
They had gone to a hotel in New Hampshire, I want to say, or Vermont, or Maine, somewhere on the East Coast. Very famous place.
Biltmore.
No,
Oh.
but it was it was a hotel where I want to say she was like, a Russian or Bulgarian or somebody, a princess lived in for her the last like chunk of her life. She loved this place and she wasn't going to leave it. So she just had a suite and that's where she lived till the end of her days. While they were investigating, they were doing an EVP session. During the EVP session, she kept saying, they played it back and she's saying, I hear you. Where are you? Where are you? She's hearing them talk. They're so when they play it back, it's like she's the one alive. It was mind blowing.
That gives me
They're
chills.
crossing into her time zone.
Yes,
It is like string theory.
Everybody's jumping dimensions and interacting
String
with each other.
theory.
And
Yes,
so with the
exactly.
astral projection,
Gnarly.
time. Whose
It's
time are
true.
you in?
Right,
It's true. You guys.
right.
Go
So
on.
last week really sent me into a spiral. Like I started thinking
Poor
about
Tim.
lots of things.
Glad we could help.
Yeah. And it was all due to the astral projection thing.
Wow, that's
And
gnarly.
if it happens, everything has an explanation. And that was my light bulb moment.
There's how much of this dovetails together. How much is astral projection or past life experiences or something like this? How much of this dovetails into each other?
Yeah.
It's like
how
all
many
connected.
times-
It's all interconnected.
How many times do we feel things and we assume they're dead because that's our understanding of it, but shit, what if
Well,
they're
okay. Think about premonitions.
not? Oh, yes. And
What if they're
deja
not
vu.
premonitions? But what if they're you coming back to tell yourself, don't drive down that road that day?
Don't.
Oh my God! It's endless!
Yeah. And so like
You know
last
what I'm saying?
Oh my God,
We
future
can
me
actually
is
see
invading
Katie's
my
mind
dreams.
melting right now. Yeah.
No, because I have a lot of premonitions and dreams, and I will be in, you know, the feeling of deja vu?
Yeah.
I will have that for 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, shit, there's nothing I can do, but what if it's future me invading me?
Right. And
Hey,
saying,
girl.
hey,
Hey, girl.
don't do this, or hey,
Oh,
take this road, not that
spooky.
road.
Or astral projecting back into me.
Right.
so
is
just
too
about
much.
everything I looked at,
Oh my God.
you could weave in a time of astral projection because time doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's no construct to it. It's just
Shit.
And
just
if you have
is.
enough focus, where are you?
Don't tell me
So,
that.
like,
Ooh.
This is why you get stuck, though, because where are you?
yeah.
well, it leads back to that tether thing. Anyway, so 2 weeks ago, astral projection. Now it's fantastic. Like I've been going down tons of rabbit holes, and it's something. Like if you really
He's taken meditation to a new level now. When he starts meditating.
like if you really take it and look at it, and if you think it's something, and you look at it, it's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, it has officially blown my mind
Oh,
this past
same.
week.
Crazy
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
now that we've melted everybody's brain. I'm glad we could help who are going. We thank you for joining us today on Speaking of Spirits. We hope you'll join us on the next podcast. Thank you.
You've been listening to Speaking of Spirits, powered by Pocatello Paranormal Research in Pocatello, Idaho. Thank you for joining us today. We're glad you could be here. If you're enjoying the podcast, please do us a favor and go to whatever platform you are listening to the podcast on and give us a review. We prefer the 5-star reviews. This helps us know how we're doing, and it helps others to find the podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next podcast.